Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how the globalist controlled government in Australia, at least, how they deflect and engage in endless amount of disingenuous utterances and claims and assertions when it comes to explaining the amount of homelessness. Now, homelessness is something you saw a lot of in Australia. It was very rare, and it was always people who, certainly by my understanding, it was always people who were drug addicts, people who had medication to control psychotic episodes and they didn't take it or forgot to take it, or people that they were sort of living in special care homes, but they went on walkabout and wandered around the city and got lost and forgot whether, so those sort of things. So, and given that anybody, certainly when I was a kid, anyone who had a full-time job, even a basic job in a factory or something like that, could afford to live, passably well. It was something that was really restricted to people with serious, mental health or health problems or something like that. There was also, I wouldn't call it the generous scheme of welfare, but if somebody was badly injured, they could get government housing and medical care and all these sorts of things. Now, a lot of that stuff's gone. It's still, well, it hasn't gone. A lot of that care and support and so on is still around, but it's now being given to recent migrants or illegal migrants. Now, Australia accepts very low quality migrants and also accepts a lot of family reunion or chain migration. So on the basis of most in need, they've got a little checklist. The government say, well, do you speak English? Do you know anyone did you grow up in this country? Do you have skills? Do you have qualifications? And because they're accepting such a low grade of migrant who have none of the criteria that should be essential before you can become a migrant to Australia, given all that, they say, well, you are more in need than the local white person. Now, the local white person may be in desperate straits, but they speak English and they have worked a job at some point in Australia, and so they're deemed, they're white and white privilege. They're deemed as being not as much in need as the brown or the black people that come from the third world and are illiterate in their own language, let alone English. So on that basis, the social services have sort of pivoted, and they're now being given to people who should never be here in the first place. They should never be migrants. If they're in that predicament, where they're that incapable that they have to be on 100% life support by the Australian taxpayer, then why are they coming to Australia? Why are they allowed in? So anyway, so this article in news, I've got it in front of me now. This is in a newspaper, and it was also an online version of this. But it talks about it. Firstly, it fesses up to there's a homelessness thing. Now, I didn't realise the homelessness was quite, and it's a little bit difficult to pick apart. But I know of a couple of people who are volunteers in the looking after homeless people, and they give out like food vouchers, things like that. I know them, and they're saying that over the last 12 months or so, there's been quite an increase in the amount of food vouchers, but they don't have a particularly rigorous. I could get a food voucher if I wanted. They don't have a particularly rigorous sort of vetting process. Now, I think they can only give you. It's like, I don't know, $20 a day, I think is the maximum, or $10. I don't know. There's a limit anyway to what you can get. But when you think about it, provided you don't buy booze or something like that, $20 a day is enough to do all right. Your loaf of bread, your meal, like you could do all right on 20. Not well, you couldn't live well, but eat well, but you could do okay. And remember that's a gift that's given to you, courtesy of the taxpayer. But one of the comments one lady made is it's outrageously exploited by people who aren't in any need, migrants who are clearly wealthy. They live in waterfront property and so on, but they just game and scam the system, and they all their relatives, the whole lot, come down, and they get their $20 voucher, then they come back, they'll go to find someone else that gives a voucher, then they'll get it from them. So each person can be getting $20 or $40 a day in handouts. So it's outrageously gamed and scammed by the migrant arrivals who don't have the same concept. This is a rich country. I'm allowed to take what I want. I'm allowed, if it's there, I'm allowed to take it. And they don't have that community mindedness that a local white person would have. But anyway, but I drove past it's like a charity service where they hand out dinners or meals. I think they do multiple times a day. I don't know, but this one was dinner, and I was walking, or evening meal, and I was driving past, and I've driven past before, many months ago now, and there was some people, but the queue was much longer. There was I was surprised now, but even here, for people who live not far away, and they can get a good meal, it's a good, decent meal. They can go and get a free meal that if they went to the shop would cost them, or the restaurant would cost them, that sort of meal, $20-$25. So they can get a free one. And so they and the families. So it's hard to tell how much is being scammed there, but there is a lot more people going down there. Now, this article concedes that homelessness is a problem, but says in an area of the population of, give or take, 400,000, there's just over 2,000 homeless people. Now, I don't know how they identify those. I don't know how they what's the definition of homelessness? Amongst that group would be, again, the drug addicts and all the people, but also, the economics of renting, or home owning for that matter, but looking at rentals as the main issue here, that the economics has changed. Rents have more than doubled in the last 4 years, and this is even in the outer suburbs of Sydney, where you could comfortably rent 4 years ago, comfortably rent a place for $300 that would be decent. That same place now is $600, $700, $800. The economics have changed considerably, but wages haven't moved up anywhere near that amount. On top of that, energy costs have gone up considerably, food's gone up, price of petrol's gone up, gasoline has gone up, and so the household budget is really being squeezed, and there are people that are falling behind. Now, it doesn't mean that people don't make bad choices and so on, and don't. I sometimes I see people that look like they're on the bones of their ass, and they come out of the liquor store with a trolley piled high with fucking alcohol. So there are people that make bad decisions. I get that, find themselves in debt, and then they're evicted, and so I get all that too. But it doesn't change the fact of the economics. There is mass migration. There is mass buying by foreign investors of properties that stay empty for months at a time, and many of them, by the way, that means their property is not available for rent. They pay a premium price, so they want higher rents when if they ever do put them on. Local investors, they pay premium prices. And because they pay so much for the property, they then have to ask a higher rent. So it becomes an ever-increasing spiral upwards, and none of it based on sound economics. Nonetheless, the rents are increasing, and there's fewer properties available for rent. So there would be, say in the area that I'm in, at any one time there would easily be 200 to 300 properties for rent. Now, you're lucky if there's 30 to 40 properties for rent. That gives you an idea to how much it's the amount of property available for rent has fallen very considerably. On top of that, scam labour hire fronts are buying up houses all over the fucking place, and then sticking their labour hire flunkies in there, 25 people to a 4-bedroom house, that sort of stuff. So that's rampant as well. So all these are having an effect on real estate availability and price. But what is the article again? Let me just put my glasses on here. So this area is fast becoming the one of the top 10 local areas this is in the state of New South Wales in Australia, one of the top 10 local areas for homelessness. Now they're saying that approximately just over 3,000 people are homeless, according to this. 3,000 people are homeless, and that's out of a population around 400,000. So, and this is considered one of the highest areas. So, so that'll give you an idea. But what's the cause of this? They mention in just passing that housing affordability is an issue, but that's it. Then they go straight into the propaganda. And it's heartbreaking to see women who are the victim of domestic violence, those evil fucking Nazi, fucking misogynist, fucking oppressor men, the damn Hitler, they're all Hitler. And this is the reason. Little children, little girls dressed in pink, oppressed by evil fascist misogynist men. And and they stick with that. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, out of 26 paragraphs, 6, 12, 14, 18 paragraphs are about supposed domestic violence, that's the issue, that's the cause of homelessness. Now, certainly the people I've spoken to and the people that are getting free meals, or there's another service where they go around and find people who are doing it rough and sleeping rough and make sure they get something to eat. There's another name for that service. I don't know. And by that, it's all men. There are hardly any women at all. And women get first preference for any accommodation. But women with children get sort of double first preference. But yet this is the claim. This is the claim. The crisis is caused by domestic fucking violence. Now I look through the because whenever you go something like this, it's domestic violence, any of these sorts of things which are unprovable, unquantifiable, very emotional, very ideological, then you know you're heading into serious propaganda territory, and this is no different. So I looked at the various websites, and every single fucking one was a white man oppressing a woman. Every single fucking one. I mean, what happened to all this diversity thing, this diversity, equal representation, and the community we serve? Every oppressor is a fucking straight white man. Now I found one, and I skimmed through, like I scrolled through hundreds, and found one Asian depiction, Asian man and woman. But all the rest were evil white men. And some of the depictions were absurd. I mean, the guy is like 7'10". The guy is like 1,000,000 meters tall, and the woman is the size of an ant. So this ridiculous depiction of the huge guy, absolutely fucking huge, and the tiny diminutive little woman. And that's the dynamic at play. Again, all bullshit propaganda. So, but it's interesting that rather than fess up and say, look, we screwed up here with mass migration, it's ruined people's standard of living, it's ruined, we have fucked up royally, we've done the climate change thing, your energy bills, your food and COVID, we have fucked up left, right and centre, and it has made things really bad for everybody, but we're going to fix it. None of that. The issue is those fucking Nazi men oppressing women, straight white men. They're the cause of the problem. Remember, white supremacy. White supremacy is the biggest fucking danger facing everybody now. And Germany, Australia, Britain, the United States. Joe Biden said so. And this article is going on with that. It's just those evil things. Children trapped in violent oppressor relations. Violence. You've got to say with a bit of a lisp here. And that's all it goes on about. And the rest was all nothing about the real issues, nothing about solving the problem. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.